So I've got to admit, the more I read about Russia and President Putin, the more I just got to give this guy a helping hand and some major props. I mean, this guy just gets better with each week. Putin wants Russia to become world's biggest exporter of non-genetically modified food. Russia could become the world's largest supplier of ecologically clean and high-quality organic food, said President Vladimir Putin on last Thursday. He also called on the country to become completely self-sufficient in food production by 2020. Quote, we are not only able to feed ourselves, taking into account our lands, water resources, Russia is able to become the largest world supplier of healthy, ecologically clean, and high quality food, which the Western producers have long lost, especially given the fact that demand for such products in the world market is steadily growing, said Putin, addressing the Russian parliament on Thursday. And in other news, uh, sorry about Monsanto's luck. Monsanto's luck. Oakland sues Monsanto for, quote, long-lasting contamination of San Francisco Bay. And I also read, was it Sweden is suing Monsanto in the World Court or something for similar things? It is not looking like. How good is it looking for Monsanto in the near future? Magic 8 Ball. My reply is no. Okay? Which translated in 8 Ball lingo to English means no, not looking good. Sorry about your luck, Monsanto. Magic 8 Ball does not lie. According to the president, Russia is now an exporter, not an importer of food. Quote, 10 years ago, we imported almost half of the food from abroad, and we were dependent on imports. Now Russia is among the exporters. Last year, Russian exports of agricultural products amounted to almost $20 billion, a quarter more than the revenue from the sales of arms, or one-third the revenue coming from gas exports, he said. Wow. 365, never mind, I'll skip that piece. Putin said that all this makes Russia fully capable of supplying the domestic market with homegrown food by 2020. In September, the Kremlin decided against producing food products containing genetically modified organisms, or GMO. Putin, you are exactly what Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet of the early 1900s, said you were. It is now official, coming from you to you from Jason 4. He is the beacon of light and hope for the world. That's what Edgar Cayce said. That is what Edgar Cayce said. Man of many prophets that have come true, or prophetic events, I should say, that have come true. Just an unbelievable, interesting story. If you've never heard of Edgar Cayce, or maybe just a little bit, do a little research on the guy. He's of course long dead. You know, he died in like 1944 or somewhere around there. But he too talked about another world war coming with huge potential. Um, but that no matter what, during that time period, Russia would be the beacon of hope in the world. So it says Russia imposed an embargo on the supply of products from the EU and the United States as a response to Western sanctions. After Turkey shot down the Russian bomber, Russian authorities decided to ban the import of fruit, vegetables, and poultry from Turkey. The ban will take effect from January 1st. So just to read you some of the comments to see where people are, average people, anyone can comment. This is Russia Today. Yeah, for no Monsanto. Agreed. Are you hinting at liberal economic systems not being the best of all solutions? Yes, no for Monsanto. Bottom line, another person, no Monsanto in Russia. Um, what is this? In the UK, it is a luxury vegetable when in season. Beetroot he's talking about. Um, says Joe Smith. They've never been able to feed themselves. I doubt they'll ever be able to be an exporter. Perhaps with a few items, but that would be the best that they're ever capable of. So someone replies back, feed themselves? You do realize that US is China's third main market for agri products. China accounted for 80% of tilapia, 51% of cod, 49% of apple juice, 34% of processed mushrooms, 27% of garlic, and 16% of frozen spinach consumed in the US, and that was in 2011. So it only takes a matter of time to get yourself or a country in a position where it can grow and sustain its own, food and feeding its own population. That is one of the key elements a country should do to get away from the controllers of the planet. You become completely self-sufficient. They have their own oil, therefore they have their own energy, which they also have nuclear power. Um, Food. What else? They got plenty of water. They got other resources. So if you want to be completely self-sufficient, that's what you need. The United States has all of that. So how in the hell is it that we, as you just read, all this importing we just did, and that was years ago. That's because this is a globalist agenda. Why are all the jobs being shipped overseas? Cheap labor. Why did Ford? We came to a great agreement with the union. We're going to keep a bunch of no, not keep or add 8,500 jobs, American jobs, which translated means they're going to keep them. They're not adding any more jobs, but gives them the power to hire an immense amount of low-wage foreign workers and build factories and stuff overseas where it's cheaper too. That's why it is the way it is. If we had all that stuff in this country, to be honest, we wouldn't even have to have an import or export business model at all. Everything that's created could be on the planet today could be created in the United States. Everything. Oh, your little cheap Chinese TVs? Yep. Yes, yes, and yes. We have the ability to do the same exact things. Why aren't we doing it is the question. Because a lot of filthy rich businesses want to remain filthy rich and use the cheap overseas labor to do so, which causes massive job losses within said country. Unfortunately, said country is the United States of America. And unfortunately, 90 something% of the people watching this video right now are Americans. And it's unfortunate because when you hear me talking like this, I'm talking about you and your country. Me too, mine. And it's sad. It doesn't have to be this way. It does not have to be this way, but it is. And when it comes time to turn it back around and like Donald Trump says, make America great again, it doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to have the ability of our country to just instantly flick a switch and produce everything we need. Like Russia said, we're going to try to be sustainable by 2020. Of course, I realize we're right at 2016, so 4 years. He's shooting for 4 years from now. That's pretty quick. Now, of course, that's just food only. In America, we'd have to do food and all kinds of stuff. Everything is made in China. I was at Costco yesterday, and they have these massive $290 teddy bears, taller than me, just big bastards. What the hell are you going to do with something like that? I don't know. But they're there. And there's a little tricycle thing next to it on the ground. One of my kids was on it and driving up and down the aisle right there. And some other older couple, came by, and I just heard them. And I'm not sure if they're referring to the teddy bear or the little tricycle thing or what. And the husband said something, and the wife says, "Well, it's probably made in China." He goes, "Isn't everything?" She goes, "Yeah, well, I was hoping to not, that something." And I barely hear her, but I picked up that, I was hoping it was American made, and if it was, then maybe we could get it. That kind of a conversation. I don't want to support the Chinese stuff, and he's like, "Well, but everything's made in China." Yeah, I know, but I was going to try, that kind of thing. So just two average Americans, older, definitely older than I am, but not really old, maybe 50s, I'm assuming. And it's good to see the talk because everyone recognizes these problems at least. But it's the government rules and regulations, and you might know them as laws, that allow these companies in America to get filthy rich here, and then when we're done with that, and they need more profit, we can't deal with downturns in the economy. We don't deal with austerity measures. We're going overseas to continue making profits. Well, hold on, you made yourself great here in America, and our laws and rules change for them, so they can branch out overseas, keep their parent company here, and then have these subsidies or these tax breaks because they qualify under some kind of nonsense like keeping or adding 8,500 jobs. Oh, you qualify for tax subsidy now. They pay hardly any taxes. So they get to pay hardly any taxes while simultaneously shipping jobs overseas to make even more profits. And or creating new machinery, as in robotic machinery, to replace humans. What do you suppose a whole bunch of humans without jobs are going to ultimately do when welfare and things like that stop because the whole thing isn't sustainable and we can't pay this tab that keeps getting worse and worse and harder to pay? I'm going to refer you back to dozens of times of history where similar types of things happened and the people said enough is enough. You rich oligarch bastards were tired of it. And by the time the average American, or not back then because there wasn't America, but the citizens of the time, I'm referring to future American citizens, will be so furious and so pissed off in their head, like Gerald Celente said, when they have nothing else left to lose. They may have lost it all. They lose it. They're capable of doing anything and say, well, I'm about to go out with a bang. And just coincidentally enough, there'll be a whole bunch of other people in the same situation, just about maybe simultaneously, the same mindsets, thinking if one more damn thing happens, if one more for that freaking government, the damn Republicans, or the damn Democrats, they do one more thing, I'm gonna, and then they're gonna snap. They're gonna snap. And the next thing you know, you have the making of a civil war. Take care.